How's it going to everybody in the YouTube knife making community? My name is Mike Corson, and I am a, would you say, I would say intermediate knife customizer and wannabe knife maker. The reason I say that is because I haven't made a knife yet. So you can't be a knife maker if you haven't made a knife. So basically what I've been doing for the last couple years is basically customizing some knives. I have a guy that, I know that works at a place that has a water jet and all that, and I've been having him cut me out blanks and then having them get to grind on it because they got machines they can set it up so, and then I've been finishing them and doing the handles and, shining them and sharpening them and all that. And that's cool. I mean, I like doing that. I've watched YouTube. I mean, there's so many excellent knife builders on YouTube. A lot of beginner knife builders that are doing, you can tell they're going to be able to, a little practice, they're going to be right there. And, I'd like to try my hand at it. I mean, I always like knives. I've got, at one time I had over about 500 in my collection. I've thinned that down quite a bit. So just basically because of space, I had totes of knives. But, in the custom knives, this is the deal with the knives as I see it and from the research I've done. A lot of the knives there's a lot of knives that are USA companies, and the knives are put together in the United States, but the materials are all made overseas. And I can tell you this from I've been an automotive mechanic for over 22 years. I worked on race cars in a race car shop for 15 years. And I've worked with a lot of steel, fabricating parts, brackets, body parts for race cars and stuff you couldn't buy. So, I do have some metal fabrication experience, and I have some experience with working with metal. So, but what I was saying about the knives, a lot of the U.S., the steel, the steel is the deal because overseas steel is just not, it's just not the same grade as U.S. steel. It's dirty metal, as I call it. It's got too much impurities in it in the process, and it's got too many alloy type metals, soft metals in it. I know this from the automotive manufacturing that in the late 90s and early 2000s, a lot of manufacturers were starting to get coil springs made overseas. And then there's a lot of manufacturers that had problems with coil springs breaking. And you could take one and cut it, and the center of it was not solid. It was hollow. It was a hollow wound coil spring. And it was just soft compared to a regular steel spring. I've actually checked them in the shop against a U.S. steel made coil spring but all you knife guys know all this. I'm just trying to give my basis on it. Now, there are a lot of nice and well-built production knives out there. And there are some knives that are made overseas that are, they're nice for the average knife person. But for somebody I like knives you can use. I do have some knives that are display knives, but that's what they're for display. I like a knife you can use. I have a knife, I carry with me all the time. So, I'm going to show you some knives that the type of stuff that I've been working on. I bought blanks all over the place on the internet, locally. Just putting handle material. I got the handle material part down. I've been playing with making some leather sheaths, and I'm not a leather worker, but I believe I can get it good enough to make my sheaths that are decent. Versus buying them. I've been buying some sheaths, and they're pretty decent sheaths for what I paid for them. But I can make them cheaper. I guess, well, maybe not if you count the time, but you know, right now I'm off of work because of an injury, so I can't do any long-term standing. There's nothing wrong with my arms and ass, so I guess I could, you know, do some work on some knives. So I decided I was going to try my hand at, you know, grinding some knives and cutting some knives out of steel. So what I've done is I've ordered some steel. I ordered a piece of, I've ordered some 1095 high carbon, just because I see that it's, you know, I think for what I see is beginning, it's easy to work with, easy to heat treat, and just a good overall durable steel for general purpose knives. Now so you know, I have no grinding equipment, so I'm gonna do like most everybody does when they start out, which I've already done. I mean, I've ordered a 1x30 belt sander, and I've ordered the ceramic belts from 36 grit all the way up to 220 grit. And you know, I've got some other tools like a angle grinder, and I'm gonna take and get me a knife pattern, draw me out a knife pattern on a piece of steel that when I get it. I mean, all this stuff I've ordered it, it's on the way. It should be here this week sometime. And I'm gonna cut it out like I seen on YouTube with an angle grinder. I'm used to using an angle grinder, so you know, I believe I feel pretty confident at that. And the only thing that people make look easy, and I know it's not easy, but they make it look easy, and I know it takes practice, is the grinding part. So I've looked at different jigs that people made, and I've looked at people that just do it by freehand. And I don't know, I'll probably try it both ways. I'm used to freehanding grinding metal. On a grinder, we're making brackets and making parts for race cars. But I mean, I know that flat grinding the blade has got to be pretty precise, and I mean, it's, you know, you got to be pretty steady. So I don't know. I might start out with a jig. I'm gonna try it both ways and see what works for me, and then I'm gonna do that, because you know, I'm basically doing everything else to the knife except for I'm not cutting the blade out, and I'm not grinding it. You know, I know a lot of guys forge their own steel and then cut it out. Well, I'm not going that deep yet. I'll do the material process, material elimination process. So what I'm gonna do now is I just want to show you some of the stuff that I use. Some of the blades that I've been using. I've built them for people. I've had people that they're decent blades. I mean, they're made here, and I'm in North Carolina. And the blades that I get are made out of the. These are actually stainless, and they've been treated cryogenically at a treatment place. And now, see, to do all that, you know, I did a bunch of them, different styles, and to do all that is kind of pricey. So I feel, you know, getting me a blank. I ordered a piece of 2-inch wide. It's 18 inches long. It's 5/32 thick of 1095 high carbon. So I believe I should be able to get a decent blank out of that. And then all it is just practice to grinding. So I might go get me a piece of that steel from Lowe's, that mild steel, and trace me one out and practice grinding on that, because I really don't want to be messing up that high carbon steel. So, but these blades that I'm getting ready to show you, they're made out of 440 stainless, so they're all nice and shiny, and you know, nice and shiny is fine. I think nice and shiny is fine for a display knife, the mirror finish and all that. But I think a knife that you use every day, which my everyday knife that I had cut out, it's the very first one I've ever customized. I had the blade made, and then I actually had several of the blades made, and I made a bunch of them. The very first one I made a little mistake on where the ricasso is, where the plumb line is. hit it with the sander and kind of messed the edge up a little bit. I kind of did a little fix on it, and I kept that one for mine. I use it every day. I carry it with me, and it's actually like in place of a folder, because I'm not really a folder guy. I don't like folders. I think folders, I mean, they're good for general pocket knife carry, cleaning your fingernails and opening boxes and stuff like that, but something you're going to use to depend on. I just think a folder's got the weak point where the hinge is, and you know, that's just that. You know, if I go out to eat and I'm wearing nice clothes or something, I don't carry a fixed blade on my side, so I got a couple little pocket knives I carry, because I have a knife every time I go somewhere. You know, most people say they stopped carrying knives when they started carrying a pistol. Well, I carry both, so. So I'm going to show you this. I'm going to turn this camera right here and show you this. See if I can get it on here where we can see. I'm not a videographer either, so you just have to bear with me here. I do the best I can do for you. Alright, so I'm going to show you the very first knife that I made, which is this knife right here. This sheath is just a sheath you can buy. I got it off of some other cheap knife, and it fit this knife pretty decent, so you know, I might make me a sheath this, I don't know. But this knife right here is just it's a small, like, little, I guess you call it a drop point knife. The handles are, it's actually teak wood. I got some teak wood from a guy. You know, and I don't know if you're familiar with teak wood, but that's the wood that people use to build boats. And it's very hard. And it's because it's treated with something. Somehow they do it. I don't know. But the guy worked at a boat shop, and he gave me a bunch of. They were long, but they were only like an inch and a quarter wide. But they worked on this knife, so you know you can see the knife's pretty. It's a decent little knife. I put the handles on there, sanded it. The main sanding I did with my Dremel, and then I hand sanded it, and then I just stained it with some Minwax stain. But I mean, you know, it's a decent little blade. You can see right here, that's where I screwed up when I hit it with a sander, so I just kind of straightened it around. But it works beautiful. I love this knife. My daughter's boyfriend just used it the other day to carve a pumpkin with, and it worked beautiful. So that's my little everyday carry knife. I use it every time, everywhere. Even when I'm in the house, I got it sitting on the table beside me. So that's just a little sample of what I've been doing. I got this knife which I'm working on right now. It's kind of a little like Skinner fillet type knife. It's pretty stout all the way through. It's got a little flex in the blade, which would make it good for if you're trying to fillet something, because you could get it to bend. I don't know, but it's just a little. I don't know. It's kind of like a little design, like some of those bird and trout knives or whatever you want to call it. It's got a buffalo horn handles, which I'm not done with. I got to put the pins in. I got one of them in. This is the very first one I've done actually with pins. All my blades I used to just epoxy them on there, and so I decided to do this and put pins in it. I got the pins. I just got to put it and glue them in. I'll probably pin them a little bit with the hammer, and then I'll just finish it down. It's got some finishing sanding. There's still some little profiling to do. They're not quite exactly even, but you know, that's a nice little knife. It's 440 stainless. You know, so you know, it's got a pretty decent edge on it. I mean, it's sharp as I don't know what. It's got a nice polish on it. So that's that. Now, some of these other knives that I get, I'll show you the rest of the knives that I got cut out from the guy I know. That's one of them. That's a pretty thick knife. I've been practicing doing some file work on it, but it's hardened, so it's hard to do the file work. So I'm probably going to go ahead and use my Dremel and a carbide bit and just make some deals up there. I've been doing it with a file by hand, and it's been a lengthy process, but you know, that's how you practice. But that's a nice little knife. I like that. You know, it'll be a nice little that's kind of like a little Skinner or something, but you know, it's a decent little knife. And this is like a little Bowie. I don't know about a little bit of Bowie. It's made for a you know, a push-on handle with a tang on it, like it's a piece of stag or something. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that, but you know, this is some dagger. It's actually got some kind of laser, some kind of etching a guy I know done on there. I don't particularly care for it, but I mean it's done nice. I just not my style. And it's also made for you know, some kind of push-on thing, or I don't know, it's a little thin for wood, but it's some dagger, and it's actually illegal in the state of North Carolina because it's got two sharp edges, but it's mine and I don't care. And so I got something. This is just a small, like, little skinning knife that I got off of internet somewhere. I don't even know. It's sharpened up. It's got a swedge up at the front of it. And it's actually got like a little gut hook right here, and it's got a finger choil right there. You know, it's a decent little thing. I'll put some little scales on that and see what the deal is with it. I mean, you know, that's what I do. I just play around with this. That's what I've been doing for a while, just playing around with putting scales on the knives. You know, and I bought a bunch of knives, and a lot of them I've already put scales on, and I've given a lot of them away to family and friends, and you know, a couple people that know I mess with knives wanted a certain type of knife, and I actually had a blade for it, and then, you know, I sold it to them. I know I did the handles on them and everything, and sold them to them. You know, I'm not really. I sold some, not a lot. You know, I'll sell them if somebody wants to buy them, but that's not the reason to do it. I do it just a hobby. I like doing it. This blank came in. I had a bunch of knives I bought off of eBay, just blank. There's a lot of blanks, and I don't know. But I had two knives in it that they're actually David Yellow Horse blanks. It's got the David Yellow Horse knife maker mark on it, and the blade back here is stamped "Made in Italy." It's a nice blade. I mean, it's got the bolster is actually, those are not bolted on or anything. I don't know if they're welded on and then they grind them smooth, or if they're just made out of the metal like that. But you can see the spine of it is pretty thick right here, but then it gets, as it goes down to the back, it gets thin. So I figured when I put the handles on, I don't know, I've already figured what material I'm going to use, because I got to get it down pretty good in the beginning because of the bolster here. And I'll show you the material I'm going to use for. I got some scales that I bought from people, and different ones, exotic stabilized wood. So I don't know how exotic it is because it's American wood, I believe, all of it, except for this one piece. I don't even really know what it is. It's some kind of burl, I think, but I don't know. And then I got this folder that was in there, and it's also a David Yellow Horse folder. It doesn't have any maker. I mean, it's got a David Yellow Horse maker mark on it, but it doesn't say where it was made. I don't know if it was made in Italy too. I don't know. I haven't really researched. I mean, I know the David Yellow Horse name, and I've seen some of his custom stuff, but I mean, the bolsters are not really polished. The blade's not really polished that great. I mean, it's just kind of like a satin finish. But it's just a lock back. The only thing is, it's got just a slight, I mean, you can just slightly feel a little wiggle in it. But, you know, it's pretty sturdy. It locks up good. You know, there's no play in the lockup of it. Just a little side to side. So that's one reason why I don't like folders. But it was in the deal I got, so I'll probably put some scales on it eventually. So just showing you a little bit of what I got, the type of knives that I've been, you know, working on as far as putting handles on and polishing up, and some, you know, the ones I had to finish the edges on, sharpen them up, basically. Now I'm going to show you some of the materials I use for handles. Starting with this. This is a buffalo horn, they say. Feels like plastic to me, but it's supposed to be really buffalo horn. But when you know, it looks like just plastic there, but when you cut it and sand it, you actually see these white streaks and stripes, so whatever it is. Then these are probably the scales that I'm going to put on the David Yellow Horse knife. It's black walnut, so you know, I mean they're not that thick. Which that knife don't need a thick handle; it needs a thinner one. So there, and it's almost down to where it needs to be for the bolster area. If you look at it, so I figured that wouldn't be too bad to cut out and get that for that knife. I think it'd make it look pretty decent. So we'll probably do that one on there when I get to it. I also got some. This is like a bird's eye maple. I believe that's what that is. It's not marked, but I mean it's just what it looks like. I mean, you know, because looking at woods and stuff. I mean, it's pretty thick. It's more than a quarter, I believe. So, you know, that's that one. This I had no idea what it is. I got it. It was in there. Looks like some kind of burl, but it almost looks like pressed wood. But it's not. It's got like, I don't know. It actually got like the little worm deals in it, but it's rough. I mean, it'd probably stand up nice, but only got one piece of it, so it had to be for a small knife. I was thinking about maybe this little knife or something, you know, but I could get the two pieces out of it, or either this one I could get two out of it. This one needs a little thicker handle, and this is pretty thick. I mean, it's more than a quarter. It's probably closer to a half, 3/8 or whatever. So, you know, I don't know. When I profile them, I really don't have anything. Well, I will when I get to 1x30, but I've been using this. It's just a Dremel. Well, it's actually a Black & Decker Dremel, but it's nice. And got variable speeds. And just using a sanding drum to do all the profiling and getting the shapes. And then once I get it profiled the thickness I want it, and I get the sides rounded off, I just do the rest by hand with sandpaper, which is a little time consuming, but I mean I can control what I got going on better. Here's a couple pieces of wood that I use. This is actually mahogany, and it's pretty nice. So you know I'll be using them on something here before long. And here's some rosewood. This is Bolivian rosewood. And it's really nice. It's got a nice finish on it. So they're pretty thick. So, and you know, I'm starting on sheaths. Actually, I got my first one that I got cut out, and I dyed it. It's not sewn or anything. It's just a sheath. I'm gonna make it like inside the pocket where a knife just fits in the top. And put a belt clip on it where it clips on the outside the pocket, so I could carry it, you know, kind of inside my pocket, or you could carry it outside, I guess. But that's what I got on that. So I mean, like I said, I'm not a sheath maker. I've dyed it. I got the welt in it. You know, it's a decent little sheath. I got this piece of leather from, I don't even know where I got this piece of leather, and so I want to use it for this knife, which just be the next knife that I get done with my handles. So and I've actually made it for this knife. So you know, if you look at it, the knife fits down in there good. You know, the leather dye is on there. It's a little darker than I thought it was going to be. It said it was a medium brown. I hate to see dark brown if that's medium, because that's almost black. I mean, you can see the brownness in it, though, in light. I'm not in good light right here. So, yeah, I'm thinking that's going to be, you know, I'm probably going to make that. I got the stuff to, you know, I got the little stitching wheel, and I never used none of it, but I've got it, so we're going to check it out. So, when I get the knife sheath done, I'm going to let you know now, I'm not a leather maker. So, you know, don't tell me I'm not, because I know I'm not. So, that dye I used was just this Fibings, whatever, leather dye. Seemed to work pretty good. It's just leather dye. So, basically, that's all I got for you. Try not to make the video too long. I'll probably edit some of this out. Until the next time, my name's Mike Corson with, we're going to stay MHC Custom Knives for now, just for a channel name. And we'll see how the knife making. I'll do videos of when I get my stuff, and we'll see how it works. But until the next time, I'm out of here.